This video is intended to cover 10 basic things of Screenflow for absolute beginners. So if you're interested in more advanced topics like transitions and high-end animation, check out my playlist on my channel, subscribe, and check out my Screenflow playlist, and you can see a lot of the more high-end advanced topics. But in this video, I'm going to speak a little bit slower, and I'm going to demo Screenflow as much as possible. I'm actually using it right now. And I'm going to cover these 10 basic things, everything from the interface all the way to transitioning clips, fading in, fading out, and then finally making that template that I had mentioned. All right, so let's get started. So I have a blank document here. This isn't a screen recording, it's just a blank document, but we're focused right now on the interface. Right here we have the work surface. That's what's going to be shown when you export your file in the video. The most important thing with this large section of the work surface is this little crop marks thing here at the bottom. It says resize the canvas area. What that gives is not only the ability to resize the canvas area, it also gives you all the settings of your project. If you want to change the size, if you want to crop the area, anything like that. The background color, if you wanted to change the background color to another color, which is something that I do a lot. It's right there down at the bottom. When you're done, press the green check mark. Okay, over to the right of the interface, of the Screenflow interface, we have a window that gives you all types of options. For example, the ability to edit the video that's down here in the timeline. The ability to edit your sound, and you can have multiple clips down here in the timeline. The ability to add really high-end motion effects, which are new for, I believe, Screenflow 7, and some of them are in 8. The ability to leave your cursor on or off. I'm selecting these here up at the top. Adding callouts, which means looking at one particular topic of a video to let the user focus in on what you're talking about. The next one is a touch callout. That's with a little highlight that happens when you touch something. That's important when you're trying to make your point in a demo. Annotations is the next part, and annotations are things like arrows and things like backdrops and lines and basically drawing inside of Screenflow. The next thing in that far right window is the ability to add text. I'm going to show you how to do this, so I'm just covering the interface right now. This is the ability to not only create text, it actually creates a text down here at the bottom, but it also lets you edit that text. And finally, one of the most important things is where your media is kept. The media not only has a local library, but in recent versions of Screenline, it has a global library, which you can share assets between different files, which is super powerful in keeping a workflow and cranking out a bunch of YouTube videos or educational videos. Finally, the last thing here in the interface is the timeline. And the timeline is where all of the sounds are kept and all of the graphic files and videos. And that is where you do all of your magic and you do your editing. So again, for the interface, we have the work surface. We have the basically inspector over here on the right that lets you inspect each of the elements and add elements into your timeline in your desktop. And then finally, we have the timeline down here at the bottom. Okay, we're going to cover the preferences. I wanted to point out that I always leave my playhead here when I'm recording a file at the last time that where I want to insert the next clip, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But the reason is that when I stop my clip using my quick keys, which are Command-Shift-2, I can insert that clip at the playhead, and that gives me a nice workflow. All right, so let's talk about the Screenflow preferences. So under Screenflow preferences, I have 5 tabs. The first general tab, the most important thing is how much time as a countdown do you want to let Screenflow give you so that you can get ready to record. The default is 5 seconds. Some people put nothing. They put 0. They just put it down to 0. I'm going to leave mine at 5. The next thing is the timeline, and there's some kind of default transitions. How do you want the once you add a transition, the default one is cross dissolve. Lots of things that you're going to want to check on into as more of an advanced user. The shortcut is one of the most important things under preferences. Under shortcut is where you determine what the quick key is to, or the shortcut, keyboard shortcut, in order to enable your screen recording. The default is Shift Command 2, and once you do that, it automatically starts recording your screen after it gives you that countdown, but that's the most critical thing. Under the Advanced tab, you just have to check that out yourself. That's for advanced people. That's not about this video. And if I select license, you're going to see my serial number, so I'm not going to do that. So that covers the preferences. Okay guys, now to record your screen and some sound that goes along with it. There's two different options, and there's also one up here at the top right. There's a little video icon that can let you start or stop your recording. I have a recording in process, so it's not letting me. So I'm going to go to File, New, bring up that option, and I'm going to say New Recording, and I want to record my desktop, which is Record Desktop. And then I want to record the audio. Sometimes you need the audio, sometimes you don't. When I select this little red button here, that will allow me to record. If I select this button here, it lets me set an exact location on the screen to record, okay, like this. All right, so once I select the red, it starts recording, and when I stop pressing the same toggle key marks or this little option up here, stop recording, by the way, the quick keys are Command Shift 2, it will show up in my media library. And what I do once I record that screen, I drag that down to my timeline, and the audio's there. Okay, the audio is attached to the video. I can detach the audio by right-clicking the video and hit Detach Audio, and you can see that it throws the audio right below it. Again, that's right-clicking the video clip, Detach Audio. So I'm going to delete those so I don't need that. And now, since I'm recording this demo, I'm going to hit Command Shift 2, and it'll allow me to put that clip inside of this tutorial. So we're going to now talk about the cursor settings for demos, and the reason why this is important is that when you have a clip and you want your cursor to be seen, you can see over here as my cursor is moving around. If you select the clip that you recorded, not the video clip, the clip of your screen that you recorded, and you select the fourth screen option, screen recording option, it lets you turn your cursor on or off, or actually make it bigger. You can zoom in on your cursor and make it look huge here, or you can make it look small. And there are tons of options under the screen recording panel or inspector that's over to your right for you to check out. So go ahead and do that. But that will allow you to check and change your cursor settings for your demos. Okay, so let's talk about importing media like graphics over to the media library, which is the farthest most icon in your inspector on the right. Here's all the media I have for this file right now. There is advanced features in here like a global library, which is really cool. There is a stock library and things like that. But what we're going to cover is just how to get the media in. And the first way you can do it is you could just drag it in. Okay, you can just drag it in from the side. The way I do is add the way that I perform it is add file, and that will I can go grab that from a directory and it'll pop it right in there. What's really cool about I'm not sure why my screen keeps on turning red, but that's not important. I think that's my background. Again, here is my background setting. I'm going to change my background to gray and then hit the green check mark. Little diversion there, sorry. Okay, so back to the media library. What's really cool about this, and I think in Screenflow 7, that if you update your media, there's a little refresh thing there that you can actually refresh your media and change it externally, which is super cool. So the way that you add the media and you access it is using this plus signal, add 5 in the media library. And you're just going to want to use the local library to start out with. There is a stock library that you can pay for and things like that, but use this far left one, and that media library will do you just great as far as importing media like graphics, sound, everything else. It does not take in SVGs or Illustrator files. It just basically uses JPEGs or transparent PNGs or PNGs. You are definitely going to want to add text, whether or not it's a title or if it's just some words or something over your video to support your video. And we're going to show you how to do that right now. By the way, I'm giving you little tips throughout this. And if you're scrubbing through your timeline here, I'm dragging the red icon right up here at the top, the red play head, and that enables me to drag it. Another timeline tip is if you're on a Mac, you can zoom in, and I believe Screenflow is only for the Mac, zoom in and zoom out with your fingers on your trackpad. You can also zoom in and zoom out on your timeline with the little magnifying glass at the bottom right hand. So you can do that. All right, so back to text. I'm going to navigate to my text inspector, and I'm going to hit the little plus sign. That's going to throw in a block of generic text. I'm going to type in title here. I'll type in my name. Then I'm going to select anywhere else. I'm going to move it around. And now I'm going to choose my favorite type, which is DIN, and move that over to the right. Now, what's cool about this is once I figure out the preferences for my title, I can select those as a style inside of Screenflow 8. You can make a style preset right up here. That is an advanced feature. I'm not going to cover that. But if you find yourself trying to re-edit the text all the time, you're going to want to create a style, or the previous versions of Screenflow let you set the default. So right over here it says set as default for future text. But the way that you change it is you highlight the portion of the text you wanted. So let's say I wanted this @ symbol to be a little bit smaller. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller here. And then let's say I wanted the background to be blue. I go to backdrop and I select the color and I select blue, and there's my blue background. Now, where I want it to show up in the timeline, I simply drag that to where it needs to go. If I want it to go longer, I'm going to just click drag that over using my cursor. Now, you'll realize that dragging these clips around will take some practice. Sometimes if you have a transition, it gets even more complicated. Let me go ahead and put a transition on this text and show you what I mean. I'm going to grab the gear marks and I'm going to slide all the way down, scroll, and hit add starting and ending transition. That throws a transition on the beginning and takes it off at the end. Now when I drag this to left or right, you can see that I'm dragging the transition. But what I want to do is shorten the clip. So you kind of have to work with dragging the clip in different locations. So again, in order to add text, you want to go to your text inspector, hit the little plus sign, and then change everything here. If you want something to be a default, go ahead and make a style, and that's for Screenflow 8 or greater versions of that. So that's it for creating and adding and editing text. Now we're going to talk about annotations. Annotations are things like arrows and stuff like that, right? Arrows. So I think it is the 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the 6th, the 7th icon on the right. I'm going to use the plus sign. That will drag the start of a annotation in my timeline, I have to draw something. So I'm going to just draw a box, and I'm drawing the same color box over it. So I'm going to change the color, and that's good. Hit close. Now I can draw a blue box. Now what's cool about an annotation, as I keep drawing, it's going to include that in the same one object, and that's important. Okay, so I'm going to delete that and show you again how to do that. So I'm going to go to annotations, hit the plus. I'm going to choose, this time I'm going to choose an arrow, and then I'm going to choose a endpoint and an endpoint. So now when I drag that over, I have an arrow going from left to right. And that's how I do it. And if I move it around, that's when it shows up in the timeline. And then I'm going to hit return or select away anywhere. Now I have that there, and I can use that to animate that to call that out. Now, it is in one of my other videos that I'm talking about the annotation of arrows and things like that. For instance, if I wanted this to come in on the right, I'm just going to quickly show you. This is not part of the video. I'm going to add a video action, and I'm going to drag the first state of the arrow over to the right, and then when that comes in here, I make that happen a little bit faster. And so that arrow is animated in, and I'm just dragging it over until it happens. Okay, that is a video action that's at the top. You basically start and stop your ending state. I've used a lot of video editing programs. This is one of the more powerful ones. Okay, so that pretty much covers the annotations and changing them. Let's talk a little bit about editing a clip down. Let's talk a little bit about editing a clip and moving the timeline clips in the timeline around. Okay, so I have a clip here. That clip I can just drag and move around. My playhead is staying permanent, so you can see that scrubbing happens. Scrubbing is basically moving the video back and forth and seeing what's happening, so it happens relatively quickly. And I can move my clips around. I can double click my clips, and I can change the speed. I can speed the clip up. So I'm hitting undo. I can select my clip and go under the audio section here and turn the volume down. I can mix the audio, so if you only have one channel coming in, you can change the channel to configure it based on your sound preferences. Anything that you need to do with the clip, if it has sound in it, can be inspected up in the inspector editor on the top right of your panel. Okay, so let's say I wanted to clip a section of this out. I'm going to use the key T to trim, and I'm going to move the playhead and hit T again, and that trimmed it in two different locations where I want it, and I can select the clip and hit delete and then move my clip over. Okay, so that's it. It's undo. Again, I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to right click this time and not use the quick key T. I'm going to right click and hit split clip. You can see the quick key is T, and that splits the clip. And then I can move and drag those around. I'm going to zoom in here using my two fingers on a MacBook Pro. I'm going to zoom in, and I am going to move that clip around. If I want an automatic transition to happen, I just simply move that clip over the other clip, and it automatically dissolves into the next adjoining clip. So that pretty much covers the basics of moving your clips around. You're just going to have to drag some clips to your desktop and get a feel for it. Again, you can split the clip if you wanted to repurpose it. If I wanted to copy a clip, I can copy paste. You want to just copy the clip, hit undo. I can reverse a clip. I'm holding down my control key and going, or right clicking. You can just right click. I'm on a laptop. and I can reverse the clip. So I'm going backwards, which is cool. You can do all types of stuff like that. That's it for edit and moving timeline clips around. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention actually is if I wanted to temporarily hide a layer right here, these layers down at the bottom, you can see I have a bunch of blank layers up here. I can just hit the eyeglass tool, okay? And the eyeglass will turn on that layer or turn it off. Another thing I can do is move the layers around by dragging the little arrows, click and holding and dragging the little arrows around. I can drag those arrows around. I can also expand the clip by using the little arrows, just clicking the arrows. I can make the clip actually bigger. And again, I can zoom in, and I'm using 2 fingers to scroll around. So it just takes a little bit to navigate what you're going to do. So now I'm about to stop the clip I'm recording. I'm going to move my playhead to where I'm currently at, and I'm going to hit Command-Shift-2. So we're going to talk a little bit about transitioning clips. So let's say that I have 2 clips. Let's go ahead and use, I'm going to drag an image. An image you can fade in and fade out. I'm going to drag this Screenflow logo here to the timeline. I'm going to hold down my command so I scale it perfectly. The aspect ratio. Oops. Holding down my command, and then I am going to fade this in and out. And so this is my clip here. I'm going to click and drag to make it a little bit longer. And I am going to fade in this logo. I'm going to move it. Let's talk about right here. So this is about transitioning your clips. I am going to use this gear, and I'm going to add ending and starting transitions, and that automatically fades in the clip, and it fades the clip out at the very end of that clip. There we go. So, oops, sorry. Okay, I'm going to go back to that clip. And now let's say I wanted to, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Let's say I wanted this transition to last a little bit longer. I simply click and drag that transition. Now, here's what's interesting. This only is the transition. It's not moving or animation. So if I move this file around, it will always still just maintain. That is not that is not animation. That's a more of advanced video, and you can subscribe to my channel to learn more about Screenflow. But this shows you that you simply can add a transition to an entire clip in and out by right-clicking and then just go add starting and ending transition. It says remove because I already have a transition there. Now, if I wanted to change this transition, I would just select the gear and I would just choose something new. And you can see that now it automatically changes the transition of that clip. Now, in some cases, it will change everything on your desktop. You're just going to need to practice. That's why I just, in certain cases, just stick with the dissolve for transitioning clips. All right, and the last thing is something that I'm really excited for and that will definitely increase your workflow is creating a template. And the way that you do that is you want to go to File, New, and then you want to go New from Template. Okay, you can see here that all these templates have already been created. But how do we create a template? I'm going to show you how. I'm first going to create a blank document. Now I have a blank document. I'm going to add my outro animation and my intro animation and my outro graphic. So I'm going to go to my media library, hit the plus, add file. I am going to choose, go to the folder, and I am going to choose both the end file and, yeah, I'm going to choose the end file. And then I'm going to go to add file, and I'm going to go to my bumper. And now I'm going to drag my beginning bumper to the beginning. and I'm going to drag my outro to the end. And let's say I want my video to be about 2 minutes. Okay? So now the last thing I need to do is insert a placeholder for the future media. So I'm going to go to Insert, Table, Template, Placeholder Clip, and I'm going to do a screen recording, and that drags in a template. You need this to require a template. You need this to make it a template. That's the Insert, Template, Placeholder Clip, and then I'm going to drag that all the way over, and that'll be the clip where I put my content. And then once that happens, I go to File, Save as Template, and I'm going to call this Basic Template, and I'll delete it in the future, and hit Save. And you now can see that right next to it has the word template. So let's say I want to edit this template, because it's certainly not saved anywhere you know about. It's saved in your user documents or something like that. You want to go to File, New from Template. You'll see the new basic template up here at the right. And it's a good idea to make your first frame the frame that explains what the template is. You can always delete that. I didn't do it here for the timeliness of this video, but you can do that. I'm going to select the template. In order to edit it, I'm going to select this little pencil mark right here. And that pencil mark will pop open that template, and as soon as I save it, it will save the template. So I'm going to hit save. So that pretty much wraps up a basic intro to Screenflow 8. Obviously, the program is powerful, so there's lots of options. So just follow that playlist I have that has other Screenflow videos in it, and you will become that super user that you want to become. But it's a very powerful application. It certainly has replaced a lot of the video editing I've done in traditional apps like Final Cut and Premiere. So I hope that you can use it and keep it in your wheelhouse for tool set. I hope you have a great rest of your day.